Well, there are nobody's looking. You will see some people jump on it a little bit. I'm here in Western North Carolina RV show. Got some Airstreams behind me, and YouTube tells me that if I do live shorts, that will be better for the channel. So I'm doing live shorts for the channel. But hey, it could be a little bit of a Q&A. Yeah, let's see if anybody jumps on. See if we get anybody join. Let me go sit in the trade winds. Oh, there. Hey, there was one person checking out what's going on out here in Western North Carolina at a little RV show. We've got a trade winds out here for people to look at, as well as a flying club. But if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully it will show me comments. That would be helpful. The one person that jumped on left. Let's see, can I turn the camera around? Yeah, I can. That's nice. Okay. See if anyone joins. I'm trying to figure out. First time I've ever done this, so this may be a terrible idea. I'm out here, like I said, in Western North Carolina, and just thought I'd see how things would go. Let's see. All right, let's see here. Trying to start this question thing. Start Q&A. Okay. Hey, there's two people watching. Oh wait, let me see. Can I move that? Yeah. Move that like right in the middle of the screen. That makes sense. Hey, there's 4 people watching. Welcome to a little live stream. I'm actually here at the Western North Carolina RV show. Started today. It's a little slow, so I thought I would try doing a live short. I'm trying to figure out if I can see comments. If you're watching, there's three people watching, I think. Post a comment just so I can try to see if I can see the comments on the screen. So I want to see all messages. Okay, I think I can see messages now. Text. How's it going? Those of you who have joined, let me know if you have any questions on Airstream. Hey, there we go. Good afternoon, Thomas. So I can see comments. That's awesome. Okay, this is the first kind of stream I've done like this at a show. This show is a little bit unique. It's not like a association show. So basically, the way most RV shows work, they're put on by a dealer association or by the manufacturer. So like the Hershey show is a manufacturer show. So it's organized by the manufacturers. Like Airstream pays for the space at Hershey. The Tampa Super Show is similar, where manufacturers are organizing that and paying for the space. And then you have generally your smaller shows that are in your states in a specific area. And those will be generally put on by an RV association that's in the area. I think something that's starting to happen more now is dealerships or dealer groups like Blue Compass and Camping World doing basically their own show that's like outside of the manufacturer and outside of the dealer association. And here in Hickory, North Carolina. So we're calling it the Western North Carolina RV Show, which does make sense because we are fairly close to Western North Carolina right now, being in Hickory, basically an hour closer to Western North Carolina. But if you got any questions on Airstream or RV life or solar, internet, all that kind of stuff that I've been posting about lately, we can chat. I'm sitting in a 2025 Globetrotter, which kind of makes sense for asking questions about power builds and solar. I know, and like I just did a video explaining like how the power system works in an RV, and it did really well. And I said in that if you thought I should do a video specifically talking about boondocking and solar, let me know in the comments. And I've gotten like quite a few comments of people saying, yeah, do a video just on boondocking. But if you have a question, throw it in the comments. I should be able to see them pop up as they come up. Otherwise, I'm just kind of hanging out, just seeing what's out there, what's going on in the YouTube world right now. YouTube says they told me that it would be smart for me to do live shorts, so that's what we're doing today, and we'll see. Is that Francesco? Hello. Thanks for joining. Of course, I've got like comments, like text messages and all that kind of stuff popping up on the phone too. But it looked like the picture looks pretty good. Hopefully the audio sounds good too. Now, Laura's not here, so I don't have the better half of our team here. She's at home taking care of the house. It's kind of funny, like, this stuff is so weird. Audio and video is good. Thanks, Thomas. How are you doing today? What's the best? With a mobile office, it's probably I guess 2025, but the Flying Cloud 30 FB is a front bed with the office. So they call it the front bed office. It's basically the 30 FB bunk floor plan without the bunks in the back corner. They put an office in there, but they are discontinuing that floor plan for 2026. So this is the last year that they're making that particular floor plan. I'd actually just ordered one for a couple that is going to full time in a Flying Cloud office. Like they're still working, so they specifically want that, and we're doing a big power build for them. I agree. I am surprised they're dropping the 30 RB. I don't think that is a good idea. It doesn't make sense to me that they would drop that floor plan, the Flying Cloud 30 RB. But yeah, they're also to answer the question on the mobile office, the 25 and 27 foot Flying Clouds currently have a desk option, and basically what happens, the area that's right here, so this section right there, so that far pillow, that goes away and that becomes a desk right there that you can raise up and down, which is kind of cool because you can actually treat it to be you can raise it up so that it becomes the same height as the kitchen area. So you can treat it as almost an extension of the kitchen if you need a little bit more counter space. But it also has room for your legs to go underneath, and it comes with a chair. So you could add the desk on the 25 foot and the 27 foot front bed Flying Clouds. But I also think they may get rid of that option in 2026 too. It seems like Airstream is moving away from the just desk being in campers, generally speaking. But I will say, I travel. When we travel, we in our Airstream, I'm generally working as well. So that's why I do so much with internet and talk so much about internet, because I have to have internet. So I've learned a lot about internet and getting internet into the camper and things like that. But I'm always working, and I generally will sit just at the dinette, kind of where I'm at right now, and I'll work for the most part out of the way. Laura, like she can cook, she can do stuff in the kitchen if she wants to, or hang out on the sofa here, or take a nap, which is generally what she will do during the day when I jump on the computer to kind of check emails and messages and stuff. She'll go take a nap, and then I'll stay awake. So I would say you could really theoretically work out of any Airstream with the dinette if you wanted to. But if you're looking specifically for office, it'd be the 30 front bed. But to talk a little bit more about them dropping the 30 RB Flying Cloud, I'm shocked. It does not make sense to me. I really feel like that's going to be. I think there's going to be a void there, and they've been building the 30 RB for a long time, and for them to stop building that floor plan now, I don't know. I think that's a mistake. They're still going to build it in the International, and it's going to be a part of the Classic. So you'll still be able to get the Classic 30, but not the Flying Cloud. And that's unfortunate to me because it limits now the Flying Cloud's floor plans, which the Flying Cloud has always had the most floor plans, but it's just becoming the International floor plan, really. I mean, now that they're getting rid of the 30, it's actually going to have about the same number of floor planes available to as the International. The only difference will be it has the bunk floor plan, and as of now they're not getting rid of that floor plan. I would expect them to get rid of the bunk floor plan before they got rid of the 30 RV. But on the chrome door handle, not yet. That is, and maybe a 2026 update. That was one of the questions I asked, I think, when I was in Tampa. When I actually had a chance to talk to Brian Melton in Tampa, and he mentioned that they were working on a door handle, like the new door handle being in like a cast aluminum. It wouldn't be chrome; it'd be like a cast aluminum, and that was a big request they got, and it was something they were working on for the future. I haven't seen. I mean, I don't know anything yet, but I could see them doing it as a 2026 upgrade because as of right now, we're being told there's not going to be a whole lot of changes for 2026. Now, I do think at some point we're going to see a new special edition because they are retiring the Pottery Barn. It's retired. So if you called right now and wanted to order a Pottery Barn, I couldn't order it. They're not taking orders on the Pottery Barn anymore. San Francisco. Francisco. Okay, sorry about that. You're welcome. And thanks for being a fan of the channel. Yeah, so and that with the Pottery Barn too, with it being a special edition, that is usually a limited run. Normally the special editions go 3 years. If they do a partnership like this one is in partnership with Pottery Barn, it's usually 3 years. With COVID hit, I think, the year after or the year that they released the Pottery Barn. And so they extended it 2 years. So they actually have built the Pottery Barn for 5 years, which is longer than they normally do. But yeah, so we have a few Pottery Barns that are in the process of being built that we should see at our on site at our stores soon. But yeah, I can't order like a 2026. I can't order one right now. It just has to be something that's already slated to be built or is already on the lot, like at one of our stores. I'm excited about the next one. They have given me hints. I think I know. I think I have a hint on. I have an idea of what the next one's going to be, and I think it's going to be really interesting. But they haven't told me anything. They won't tell me anything because they know I got a big mouth, and I'll tell everybody. For selfish reasons, I'm glad it's done. Yeah, I think. I think that's one of the benefits of the special editions is they're usually a limited run. So once they stop building them, they hold their value a little bit more because they're like lost signal for a second there. I was talking about pot. Yeah, so the special editions, like usually, like the Tommy Bahama, for instance, is very hard to come by. and we rarely see, especially a 27 foot for sale. So when they come up for sale, like they don't usually last very long, and they usually price, they usually go for a pretty good amount. The 460 GX 460, I would say look at what the max tow is on your 460. Like Google what the max tow is for your year model, and then the GX 460, and try to have the dry weight around 85% of that. So say, if it's 6,000 pounds, I think 85%, well, I can't do math. I don't know what 85% of that would be, but whatever 85% of that is, you want the dry weight to at least be below that. The other thing you want to look at on towing is your payload. Generally with the half ton and the bigger SUVs, is you're more limited by payload capacity than you really are by you really are by towing capacity. But what I usually try to recommend is to be around 1,400, 1,500 pounds minimum on a tongue weight. You could probably get away with a smaller amount of tongue weight. Payload. But basically, the way to figure out payload is it's in the door jamb, and the driver's side you open that, and you'll see a little sticker that says payload. And say if it's 1,500 pounds, the hitch weight of the RV is going to subtract from your payload on your vehicle. So if it's 1,500 pounds and you're towing a Caravelle, for instance, that has a 500 pound tongue weight, you're subtracting that 500 pound tongue weight or hitch weight from your 1,500 pounds of payload, and then that leaves 1,000 pounds of payload for the tow vehicle, which is, you're counting your weight, your passenger weight, anything you're adding to the vehicle will go against that 1,500 pounds. If you're going to tow a Flying Cloud, for instance, that has an 800 pound hitch weight, then you kind of want to look for somewhere around 1,800 pounds, because that's going to give you about 1,000 pounds for passengers, for cargo, that kind of stuff. But you can get tighter on the payload if you know better, if you have a better understanding of how much everything weighs. How much you weigh, and your family weighs, and all the stuff that you're going to add to the vehicle, or you put more into the trailer instead of into the tow vehicle. There is a misconception especially the Airstream world, that you need a 3/4 ton truck to tow everything Airstream makes, and that's just not true. There are some things you need to do to make half-ton trucks work and SUVs work. Helper springs are a big thing there, but you do need to be careful with payload, because you can go over payload, and you can easily go over the rear axle rating too. But yeah, just check what your max tow is for the 460, and then 85% of that you want to be the dry weight minimum, and then just make sure your payload can handle what you're going to carry with you. So, but that's like, if you go to the Airstream Addicts page on Facebook, that is like, it's comical sometimes to see some of the answers that people give when they ask the question about tow vehicles. What tow vehicle do I need? I actually have a customer that's towing a 25-foot Flying Cloud with a GMC Canyon, has a diesel engine, and we added sumo springs to it to help keep it level without having to do a ton of weight distribution to keep it level. And he says, he swears it tows like a dream. Absolutely loves it. So of course, Can-Am has got some crazy stuff. I recently watched a video from Can-Am RV in Canada of a Model 3 Tesla towing a 27-foot Airstream. That was bonkers to see that. All right, if you're joining the live stream, I'm here in Hickory, North Carolina for the Western North Carolina RV show. We've got a couple of Airstreams on display here. This is a Blue Compass show, so it's only Blue Compass here. We've got 3 stores here represented. Our Concord store is here. Our Hickory store is a store in Claremont, so just down the road. And then the Greensboro Colfax store, which is the store I'm out of, is here as well with some Airstream stuff. But I'm hanging out here inside a 2025 2025 trade winds. You can see the terracotta cushion color here, and just answering some general questions about Airstream and RV life. If you got any questions, throw those in the comments or thoughts on the state of Airstream and the RV world. I'll be happy to talk about those. So far, some good questions. We're this year, I think we'll see 2026 changeover or model year changeover happen a little bit quicker. Yes, we are going to international. That has been approved by GM. We have paid to be there, and it's not official, but it sounds like we are going to be approved to do a seminar at international, and I'm excited about it. We're going to do a seminar on using artificial intelligence in your travels, planning your trips, planning routes, planning things to do, utilizing artificial intelligence like Chat GPT. So hopefully we'll get to do that, but then we're also just going to get to be international. And I'm so excited. We wanted to go last year, but Sedalia was so far away. I think it was going to be like two days of travel for us to get there, both ways. So a total of 4 days of travel. Plus, it's the international rally is a longer one. It's it's almost a week, like actual days. So it's gonna be like a week and a half of time being away, and being an Airstream salesperson in the industry, it's really difficult to get that much time off to be able to do it. But with it being in York, Pennsylvania this year, we are planning to leave like super early on the first day to get there as early as we can, but basically just drive all the way there. And Laura's driving the camper now. She's towing. So if you haven't seen her video on her first tow, watch that. It was really cool. We had some good information, just teaching her how to tow the Airstream. That video, we're just primarily like towing on the highway, towing, kind of a little bit off-road, like getting into a gas station, that kind of stuff, but not really towing back roads or backing the RV. But it's really helpful having her tow or drive some. We went to Ohio for the Airstream Club International headquarters grand opening party, and she drove like 2 or 3 hours of that trip, and it was so helpful. But yeah, so we'll be in international. I'm super excited about it. I think there's gonna be a content creators area, and I think we'll do a display or something there. I guess TBD on that. But Love Subbin, I think is how you say their YouTube channel. They have a great YouTube channel. If you haven't checked them out, research that or Google that or whatever you do there. But they organize the what do they call it? Vendors, the vendor area, and then they organize the content creators, I guess, area, and we'll probably do a content creators thing. I don't know. I don't feel like a content creator. Like, these are videos to be resources for you, for those of you that are shopping or thinking about an Airstream, and then we're just generally trying to make videos to help in Airstream ownership. But I guess I am technically a content creator for YouTube because I am creating content. Sam, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Hope to get a Classic, 30 Classic. Yes, that is a great floor plan. And you can fit 1,000 watts on the Classic. And I would say whether we did that build for you or you had someone else do that build, go ahead and plan on 1,000 watts, because it's you're really only paying for the additional 200 watts of solar panel, because the tech is already up there putting the solar panels on. So just adding 2 more panels is not it's not going to be that much money. You're talking about a couple $100, and added to the total cost of the build. And you can fit 1,000 watts on a Classic. We've done it in a 3,000 watt inverter, twin bed, and 100% agreement on the twin bed. I know I get a lot of flack sometimes on a twin bed, but we love our twin bed, and have no intentions of switching from the twin bed to a queen bed with our next camper. So for those of you, there's a few people watching. It says 9 people. I don't know how this works, but of the 9 of you guys that are watching, do you have an Airstream now? If you do, what is it? And Do you want a new Airstream? Are you thinking you got the 5 foot ITIS and you're wanting a bigger one or a shorter one? Post that in the comment, because Laura and I are kind of in that position right now where we have a 25 foot, but we kind of want a longer Airstream. Sam, to answer your question, you do not need to replace the 10 gauge wire. So the way solar works and solar charge controllers are made, they are built to handle higher voltage. And so generally speaking, your solar arrays, your solar setups are not running at 12 volt. They are running at a much higher voltage. And you're like solar farms, like you're driving down the road and you see a solar farm, those are going to be running at 5, 6, 7, 800 volt systems. The reason is you want to be able to run that you want to use the smallest cable possible, because thicker cable costs more. If you had to run 4 aught cable for your solar array to be able to handle the wattage, you're increasing the cost of that potential solar build by quite a bit. So what we do is we can use that 10 gauge wire, we up the voltage, and we'll run the panels in series. So take a 30 foot classic, we would run that as a 90 volt system. So we would do 5 panels in series, and then on one side, and then 5 panels in series on the other side, and then we would parallel those two banks together, which would make it a 90 volt panel array. So, and then that 90 volts, if you take that 90 volts and you divide that by 1,000 watts, you're going to come out to around 11 amps. Well, the 10 gauge cable can handle around 30 amps, so 20 to 30 amps of energy. It can handle that. By upping the voltage on the solar panel, we can run the same amount of wattage through that smaller cable, but it's going to produce less heat, because just the way energy works, the higher the voltage is, the lower the amps is. And that's also why we generally nowadays we do 24 volt builds. It allows us to use smaller cable with the inverter and the batteries, and it produces less heat off of the cables and off the equipment, because your amperage is much lower. It cuts the amperage in half. 4 Airstreams. Current one's a twin. So much nicer. Yeah, I love the twin. We only have had our 2020 Flying Cloud. That's a 25 foot twin, and we love it. I think our next camper is going to be a 28 RB. We really like the separate sofa and dinette of the 28, and it's kind of just as much the research and thought that we did before buying ours. And I literally see, I'm in them every day, so we had plenty of time to pick the right floor plan. We just really felt like the 25 foot was exactly what we needed. Now that we've had it and we've used it, we could see the 28 being a really good floor plan for us. For Airstreams, I think in time I'm gonna be in the 4 Airstream club for sure. The 2024-27 International fretbed queen with the hatch, very nice floor plan. Sandra is my aunt's name. And Potter Barn, very nice 2025. A 2008 Outback Sydney. Falls apart daily. Now, Sam, the 2004 to 2005 30-foot classic, yes, there was significant change to that particular floor plan. Feel free to come in. I'm just doing a live stream. You're just going to hear me talking a lot, but no worries. So the 2024 to 2025 classic, there was a pretty big change. So basically, let me think. Let me just kind of get my brain. Some of the big differences: the axle changed to the Dexter toe assist axle. So it has ABS braking built into it, and it has a sway mitigation system built into it as well. Now, the sway mitigation, we're finding that more and more customers that have that buy 2025 classics. It's not like an active sway system similar to like a Blue Ox or like a Pro Pride. It's more of a emergency maneuver. Like if you had to make a sharp turn or move to a lane, it helps to keep the trailer from starting to sway. But it's not gonna fix like porpoising or like the little bit of like bobble that can happen when you're towing. It's more so of like an emergency thing. If you slam on the brakes or you're going down a hill or something like that, it seems to be doing that more. The other thing that they changed is they went away from the C-Zone multiplex system that's been in the Classic. It's also currently in the Pottery Barn. Now that the Pottery Barn is retiring, the C-Zone will completely go away. They're calling it My Airstream. So it's basically a similar concept to the C-Zone. It's a multiplex system with a touch screen where you can turn lights on and off, turn the inverter on and off, the water pump, all that kind of stuff. Control your HVAC systems, just that type of thing. And then it has an app connected to it, so you have control over it. That was new. There is a 5G antenna on top now instead of a 4G. There is the 33 foot. They got rid of the goofy projector screen that came down with a little projector, and now it's a televator. There's no desk in that area anymore. It's like a countertop with storage underneath, and then a TV that rises up, which I very much prefer over the screen that came down. And what else they changed? Colors are all the same. The 5G antenna, the Dexter Tow Assist, the My Airstream system, the 5G antenna, and the TV. They went away from. They were putting a Samsung TV in the main living space on the 30 foot. They're now using the same Connex TV that was in the bedroom, in the living room area for the 30 foot Classic. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think they should have stuck with the Samsung TV. And actually, I think it would have been better if they'd done the Samsung in the living room area and upgraded the one in the bedroom to a Samsung. But the issue is with those TVs, they're not 12 volts. So I think Airstream really wanted to get to 12 volt TVs on the 30 foot, and they had to use the Connex TV to do that. Let me scroll back down a little bit. Okay, so Happy Campers started with a 2018 30 Flying Cloud. Okay, moved to a 20. Okay, so you stayed in the 30 foot with the Classic, but downsized to a 27 foot International. Is settled, I hope, on a 2025 Pottery Barn. I get it. I mean, I understand. I mean, it's like, it's hard. Every floor plan has pros and cons, and yeah. A Globetrotter 25 foot. No, I don't think on the C-Zone for the Pottery Barn. I don't think they would put the new Airstream system in, because that would require a lot of work. Probably 100 hours worth of work to replace that. My guess is C-Zone as a company is not going anywhere. It's just Airstream isn't going to use it anymore. The company that makes the new My Airstream system is owned by Thor. I'm assuming that's why they're switching to that, because it's keeping it within the same roof. But my point of that is C-Zone's not going anywhere. They'll still be around, so you'll still be able to get parts if you as needed. And and they've got to support also all of the Classics that have the C-Zone, because they've been using the C-Zone for quite a few years on the Classic. Shannon, you are very welcome. I would like to do a more in-depth video on the Classic 28. My problem is every time we get one, we sell it before I get a chance to make a video on it. And yeah, but yeah, I do want to do a more in-depth video because the one we did in Tampa was fairly quick. As soon as I get one, maybe I might do. It'll probably be a 26 now. Where we're at within the years, I think we really only have one more month. I think we'll start seeing 26s land in July, which is why, if you've not seen our little ad that we're doing with the Airstream Sellathon for June, that's part of why we're doing that, because we want to get rid of the 25s before, as many as we can before July. See, I'm reading Sam's comment there. 24 is new, but unsold. Decided it's better for 25. Yeah, 25. Yeah, I think I would do the same thing. There's such a big difference between a 24 and 25. The other thing too, I'll say, at this point in the year, if you find an Airstream dealership that has 24s left over, something's not right. No dealer should have 24s left over at this point. They're either trying to overcharge for the Airstreams, and they've gotten caught, red-handed with 2024s, and they're going to have to try to get rid of them. But that also means you've had a 2024 sitting for 12 months plus, not being maintained, because I can't imagine a store is really truly maintaining an RV that's sitting out there and has been sitting out there for a year. You just want to be really careful if you do buy a last year model at this point. Like, we're about to come out with 2026s. By this point, as a store, you really should have gotten rid of your 24s and be working on your 25s, trying to move those. And that does happen. There's a lot of Airstream dealerships. We have one near us that only want to sell high margin, and they're fine selling a couple a month as long as they can make a ton of money on those one or two that they're selling. But you're generally going to get to the end of the year and have a lot of previous year model inventory left, and then you gotta try to blow that out as much as you can. I can't put batteries in the belly. The way Airstream manufactures their floor plans and their chassis, they is tight. Like, they manufacture the chassis, the frames, to fit what they're building, and we can't really reproduce that without starting from the beginning. The closest thing we've been able to get to is on your rear bed floor plans. So your 30 RB, your 28 RB, your 25 front bed queens, where you don't have the front storage. There's a box that we put on those that's outside, so it doesn't take up any of your storage, and we can put between 600 amps and 1200 amps, depending on what you're looking for, outside. And it's a torque lift box, and it's a lockable box. And I have a video on a Pottery Barn that we posted recently. That's 600 amp hours in a box on the tongue. We removed the existing Airstream battery box so we can fit in a longer, skinny box. That's the closest thing I can get to doing something similar to the batteries in the belly. I have an idea, Sandra, on what's replacing the Pottery Barn, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Not yet. But I think we'll know soon. I probably said too much. I'll probably get in trouble. I have suspicion, is all I can really say. They won't tell me anything because they know I have a big mouth. So I generally try to. I generally tell people everything I know. so Airstream doesn't like to tell me stuff. Hello, Creekside Homestead. I take it you guys have a homestead. Do you have an Airstream at your homestead? I can't wait to talk about it though. That's gonna be a fun video to make for the next special edition. And I know they're coming out with one. Like they always come out with a special edition. When they finish one, they come out with another one. I would love it if Airstream would invite me to headquarters to make a video of it as part of the process of them releasing it. But the marketing team at Airstream does not like us YouTubers for some reason, and they don't want to work with us. So they never give us any insight into releases. We pretty much just have to wait until they release it. When they release a new model or a new floor plan, the sales teams, we're all finding out at the same time as you guys. Like, we'll get some information that you don't necessarily see right out the gate, like the build sheets and the little sales cards and brochures and stuff, but we don't get it until the day that they release the content, it's a different model to me. Even like Grand Design and Brinkley, they invite YouTubers to come and make videos of new floor plans and new models before they're released, and then they're on an embargo, basically meaning that they're not allowed by contract to release until a certain day and certain time, which is what most auto manufacturers do. I have a friend his name's Toyota Jeff. He makes videos about Toyota, but he gets flown all over the country to make videos of new Toyotas coming out. But he's under embargo, so he can make the video, can record it, but he can't talk about it until a specific day and time. And I think Airstream should do the exact same thing. I don't think, Happy Camper, I don't think you're going to see a 12-volt AC anytime soon in an Airstream. The Airstream is so slow to upgrade to new technology. To me, a 12-volt air conditioner makes complete sense. I just don't think you're going to see it. I will say this, though, on the 12-volt AC. I would actually choose the new Farion induction. Is that what they call it? No, inverter is what they call it. The new Farion inverter 18,000 BTU air conditioner that they came out with last year is currently being used in the Brinkley fifth wheels and travel trailers. There was the first version of it that came out was a direct duct, or direct, whatever they call that, where it just blows directly out of it. But it had this cool little fan that could open and it could move, like as it was moving air, it like move up and down. But they didn't have a ducted version of that. But they just came out with a ducted version of it, which means they could put it in Airstreams. The thing that's crazy about it is it's so efficient. It's built more like a mini split air conditioner. So it's super efficient, and it's 18,000 BTU. So it's perfect for take the trade winds, for instance. This has one 15,000 BTU GE air conditioner. We have to put a soft start on it. They could put one 18,000 BTU Farion, whatever that's called, chill cube or something, but it runs at like 6 amps, and it has an eco mode, so they wouldn't even need to add a soft start to it. It pulls less energy than the GE with a soft start on it, and it's 18,000 BTU. I would rather them use that air conditioner than to do a 12 volt, but that's just my opinion. Induction cooktops, they're only doing that right now on the Basecamp XE has an induction cooktop, and the motorhomes, touring coaches have that. 4 Battleborn batteries under the front sofa. So you can do that, but generally you want to have all of your batteries together, or you want to have equal sized banks. So you would do, if you're gonna leave the 2 out in the box, then I would do probably 2 inside, and then you basically have 2 banks. Or you would do 4 inside and have 3 banks of 2. You just have to make sure they make all the cable links have to be the same for each of those banks. What I would actually recommend is take your 2 Battleborns out, sell them online, just put them on Airstream Marketplace or Airstream Addicts, whatever. Find somebody to buy those two Battleborns and buy two 460 amp hour Epic Elite batteries, or the Essentials. They're even a little bit less. But for the money of what four Battleborn 100 amp hour batteries cost, you could have 920 amp hours in two batteries, and you wouldn't have to. You'd actually free up the storage in your tongue, in that little storage area, and because you're moving the batteries a little bit further back into the coach, you'll actually lower the effect of the hitch weight that you're going to have by adding the extra batteries. But it's it's far more efficient to use two large batteries than to use a bunch of little batteries. The other thing too about Battleborn right now is they are a little bit behind. They are overpriced for what you get. That's my opinion, but I think they're overpriced for what you get. I would do a Vader battery or an Epic battery way before I ever bought a Battleborn. Our Flying Cloud has a 460 amp hour Elite Epic battery in it, and that thing has been flawless. It works so well, and we have one battery, and we can run the air conditioner off of it for like 3 or 4 hours. We can easily boondock with it, and I think we paid $1,700 for it, one battery. Where one Battleborn GC2, which is what we're talking about, that's in the front tongue, that's $1,000. If it's on sale, you might be able to get it a little bit less depending on what Battleborn's doing. But then you're also having to pay a tech to make a bunch of jumper cables to connect all of those together, and that labor is expensive. You get two Battleborn Essentials, that's 920 amp hours, and he only needs to make two sets of cables. Go with that, and you'll be happy, I promise. That's what all of our solar builds that we've done lately, the last 3 or 4 that we've done have been with Epics. The only thing I've had issues with, and I'll go ahead and tell you, if you're thinking about doing this, Sam, is the version 2 of the Elite battery. The sulfur has been problematic for the Victron CAN bus communication system, so we're not using that currently. If we put the Elite batteries in, we are treating it as if it doesn't have the CAN bus system. So we're adding the smart shunt. We're programming the Victron equipment to control the batteries. That kind of stuff, instead of using that CAN bus system. I would love to have a taller shower. The only way they could really make a taller shower right now is either to go down into the floor, which I don't see them doing, like moving the pan down into the floor, or building a higher camper, and I don't see them doing it either. I really think Airstream should increase the height of Airstreams by 2 inches. Make them 2 inches taller. They would still be really low. Like within the RV industry, if they added 2 inches to the height of an Airstream, it would not affect it wouldn't affect anything that much. I mean, there's rockwoods right outside the camper here. Let's see if I can flip the camera around. Like right outside the door here, we've got rockwoods right there, and those things are already significantly taller than a base camp. You can also see even that little GeoPro is taller than an Airstream. So if Airstream, flip the camera back around. So if Airstream added 2 inches of height to these, it would not. I do not think it would affect us that much. It's not the 1970s anymore where we have to worry about. We're not towing these with cars anymore. We're towing them with trucks. And then that would be how they could get more height in the shower. The other thing they need to do is, so the showers where it has that little bump out where your feet go, that is there not for the tires and wheels, which is what I always thought. That's actually there to get the heat hose under the shower. So instead of going down into the floor and then under the shower and then back up, they build that little notch there for it to go through. They need to take that hose down under the floor, go under the shower, and then come back up to get heat back into the room. And then that could be a flat floor, and it would change. The it would dramatically change the way the shower feels if they did that. And just so, if y'all don't know this, Airstream hates that I tell the truth about Airstream. They'd rather me just be positive all the time. But I don't like that. That's not being realistic or being real or being honest. Um, Cable length. The biggest thing on cable length for batteries is if you get over a certain length, you have to go to a thicker cable. But generally speaking, in a power build like on an Airstream, we're not going far enough that it, like, you're talking, I think, 30 meters before it matters about the cable thickness and cable length. The biggest thing that you want to do is make sure that if you do two banks, so say you have a bank out in the tongue jack, and then you've got two banks inside under the couch, like we were talking about on the Classic. If one of those banks is longer than the others, the longer one will charge slower than the ones that are closer. And what will end up happening is you'll degrade the battery over time, because one bank of batteries will have more resistance in the charging, because it has a longer cable, and eventually all of your batteries will come down to the level of the bank that has the most resistance, and you'll end up hurting the batteries. So the key is to make sure that if you're doing multiple banks, that the cable between each bank is exactly the same. And you don't want to do like a loop where you're going around. Like, what you would do is bring your black and your red from the bank in the tongue up into under the couch. That's going to be probably your longest run. And then you make all of your other cables that are coming from your other banks the same length, and then connect those into a power in links distributor from Victron, and then that's how you get your batteries in there. But that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that they're all the same size. Kick the dog out at night. I would like to see Airstream do a 30-foot front bed, like a version of the 27 front bed and 25 front bed, but as a 30, and like a bigger bathroom in the middle, a bigger bedroom area, something like that, but still have the couch area. You could have a bigger kitchen, but it still be a front bed, so you can back into spots. I don't like that all of the 30s are only in rear bed. Kenny, I can tell you this: I've got customers that are taller than you that have figured out how to overcome the shower. I mean, I have at least two that are probably like 6'5", 6'6", somewhere. I mean, tall individuals, and one has a 25 foot. I think one has a 27. 6'2" is tall, but that's more doable than being 6'5", for sure. But I understand. You're very welcome. I like to be honest. My view is there's no, well, one, I'm a Christian, so I want to be honest. But two, it's not like I can hide imperfections. Like, if you show up to the store, you're gonna see anything that you're gonna see that what I said was untrue, and then I've lost credibility. And I think credibility in this business is more important than anything else. At least that's what my grandfather taught me. The underbelly is changed a little bit on the trade winds. The frame and the underbelly is modified on the trade winds, and then they build a custom box to go around it. So it wouldn't be. I just don't think it would be feasible from a financial standpoint to do that. And I think what it would cost to actually do that modification would be so expensive that nobody would do it. It would be cost prohibitive. I guess the truth is, I'm not that there's that person asked that question. It's like Chinese characters there. I think the issue is it would cost so much to do it that nobody would do it. Whereas putting a box on the tongue and then fitting the batteries in there, it's not cost prohibitive. I agree, Suzanne, on the 25 RB. That makes no. I still don't think it made sense for them to get rid of that last year. And our sales rep with Airstream said the same thing. He was like, I don't understand. His name's Tim. He's like, I don't understand why they're getting rid of the 28 or their 25 RB. That was a good floor plan. It made sense. It was a great alternative. And to be honest with you, I think if they built more 25 RBs, they would have sold more. And I feel the same way about the 28 RB. They always say that the 27 sells more, but they also build a lot of 27s. And Airstream is unique. Airstream's different. We don't tell them what we want. We don't tell them we want, this floor plan and that floor plan. As far as stock inventory goes, Airstream looks at their statistics and their marketing, their market, whatever research, and they build based on what they think is going to sell, and they send it to us. So what we get is what they send us, and that's based off of what you guys are buying. And but I think part of it is on a 28 RB, they don't build them. They don't build very many of them, and it's pretty much an order. You got to order to get a 20 RB, but every time we have one for sale, we sell it quick. I think like 3 years ago, we had 3 28 RB Internationals in stock for some reason. I have no idea how we ended up with them, but we had them, and we sold all 3 of them within a few weeks. They sold. Sam, that is true with the front bed. If you're in a campground where the bed is at the road, which is a lot of campgrounds, but then you also kind of miss out on the views, like some of the views that we've gotten just in the short amount of time that we've had our 25 foot. We've had some incredible views out of the back, and so that's part of, like, if we get a 28 RB, I know we're gonna kind of miss that, which is why we're not really in a hurry to make that change either. I want to take advantage of our front bed a little bit longer. But yeah, I agree. But even in the front beds are popular. Like even in the non-Airstream, in the SOBs, some other brands, the front beds sell. That's what people buy. Like all fifth wheels are pretty much front beds. What, if any, is a 3-inch lift kit practically useful for? Sam, the 3-inch lift kit predominantly is useful on the longer floor plans, the 30s, the 30 and 33, because the overhang behind the axle is so long that when you're leaving, like even just pulling out of a gas station, you'll find yourself dragging the rear end, and then that will cause separation. It'll cause issues with the frame and the body. And so a lot of 30 foots we encourage the 3-inch lift kit. On the 25s and 27s, it's not as much of an issue with the like the overhang, with the dragging. It's not as big of an issue. Where you'll find usefulness on the 3-inch lift kit is just simply that the dump valve and the hookup is higher. It's 3 inches higher, and that 3 inches oddly does make a difference because Airstream sits so low. They're so low to the ground, which is a benefit of Airstream. Everything is actually low. Everything's pretty low, and especially with some campgrounds now have actually raised. I've come across this twice. They've raised the 4-inch like sewer inlet up to put, Ocean Lakes is an example. They added these really cool lids that pop up, but to add them, they raised the inlet up like a good amount. And so this past year when we were Ocean Lakes for the Region 3, Carolinas Club Rally, I had to actually build up our hose more. Like I had to build blocks up to try to get everything high enough so I could still get it to go in. And then when we went to the Region 3 Rally, we had the same issue there because we don't have a lift kit yet. So I do think that's a benefit there, just it being a little bit higher. As far as, Suzanne, recommending a 3-inch lift kit, I don't think it's a bad idea. I definitely recommend it on a 30. And I think there is benefit to it being on the 28 25 and 27. I want to do the lift on the 25. It's just a matter of time we'll have one, but we've done we've done so many upgrades. Like we have to spread out our modifications because it costs money to do them things. And but I want to do a lift because I just want to get the sewer higher to accommodate some of these campgrounds that we're going to that has that issue with the inlet being higher. And I actually think it looks better with the lift kit too. But on the 28, I think it's a little bit more of a personal decision, more so than like a need. There's some practicality to it, but the 30s you need to do it because you'll definitely scrape at some point. Thanks for the questions, guys. As long as I'm getting questions, I'll keep streaming because there's not much happening at the Western North Carolina RV show. So good time to stream. And the battery's holding up. This is the first time I've ever done this, so let me know if you guys have enjoyed this and something I should do more often. Honestly, I did it because Airstream sent me a message that said you should do more short lives. Thanks, Sam. I try to do that. Try to make them beneficial. I try to make videos that I would watch, if that makes sense. Like, Mac, that question has not been asked. We have talked about the flying cloud issue. It's not all 30 RBs. It's just the flying cloud. As of right now, the international 30 RB will stay, and the 30 RB Classic will stay. I can't imagine them going away with all the 30 RBs because that's like, from the Classic standpoint, the majority of what they sell is a 30 RB. We don't sell a lot of 33s. I think the 28 is going to be very popular. It would not surprise me if the 28 doesn't outsell the 30 on the Classic. But yes, just the flying cloud. And I still think, I just think that's a mistake. I don't think they should get rid of the flying cloud 30. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's pretty close, Bill, the dry weight. I've measured up. I actually have a tongue weight, the Pro Pride tongue weight scale thing that you can weigh tongue weights with. And they're always within about 50 pounds of what it's rated. And usually closer than that, but I've seen a variation of 50 pounds on the hitch weight. The other thing, too, is be careful with the addicts, Airstream addicts, folks. Or just in the forums, people exaggerate more so on those forums than real life. You're not adding, even if you filled up your outside storage, you're not adding hundreds of pounds to the tongue weight. You would be more likely to do it by adding batteries or something like that. But even when we did a 30-foot Classic, we put 800 amp hours of lithium battle-borne batteries under the couch. It had a Quadra inverter. He got the Onin generator, so we mounted the generator underneath with the Aircrafter bracket. And his tongue weight went from 30 Classic, so it went from like 900 pounds to 1,200 pounds with adding all of that equipment. So if you don't even have that equipment and you're just adding clothes and stuff like that, you're not adding that much weight to your tongue. So if it's 850 pounds, you're probably going to go up to 900, maybe 950 when you're fully loaded. But you're also adding stuff to the back of the camper, which offsets what you're adding to the front. Where do we go? Thanks, Suzanne. Appreciate that. Let's see. 27-foot trade wind. So I asked that question a lot, and from what I understand, it's in the works, but they're a couple of years out for a 27-foot trade winds. The issue with the 20-foot trade winds, okay, so the 30-foot trade wind, or sorry, the 30-foot, the 25 trade winds, they can get away with one AC on it. Now, is it practical? No. If you live in the South, if you live in Texas or Florida, you're not buying a one AC Airstream ever. Most of the time, in North Carolina and in the north and out west, like you can get away with one air conditioner. But the but it's a 30 amp. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's a 30 amp camper, and it's way easier to build a power system off of 30 amps. It's just easier, and you don't have to teach people to not use both air conditioners. You only have one air conditioner, and the thing about these battery builds, Victron has yet to make a 5,000 watt dual 120 to 120 inverter. So currently, to do a 50 amp camper, the only option we have is a 3,000 watt to 120, which would give us the 50 amp, the 240 split. So they only make a 3,000 watt. Well, you can't run two air conditioners off of that. So you have to really you have to make sure your stores are teaching your buyers to not use both air conditioners. And I think Airstream is trying to figure out how to do the 27 foot with two air conditioners, but make it dummy proof, basically. And I think that's taken a while for them to do too. And truthfully, the 25 foot Treedwinds is selling like crazy, so I don't think they're in any hurry to come out with the 27 anyway. And they're probably creating business by waiting too, because a lot of people are buying 25s that will eventually upgrade to the 27s. To the class, mainly for the cargo capacity. Love it. Yeah, the cargo capacity is quite a bit higher on the class. Pottery Barn, that was actually, I'm surprised they kept it. They kept the Pottery Barn's cargo carrying capacity so low that whole time. Why are the European Airstreams different? Different market. They got to build to the market, and RVs in general are different in Europe. So they kind of have to figure out how to make that work. The reason the 25 hitch weight is higher, it's like 300 pounds higher than a 23 is, it's not just a longer floor plan, it's also wider. So your 25, you go to a 8 foot 5.5 inch wide body from an 8 foot wide body on the 23. You also are you're adding more stuff to the front. There's more stuff forward of the first axle, and the more that ends up in front of that rear axle, the higher the tongue weight is going to be. But a 27 foot is actually lighter than a 25. And I can tell you why if you're interested. Oh, the weight distribution and hitches. All right, hold on a sec. Okay, make sure I didn't miss anything. You have hit the hot topic. All right, so weight distribution and hitches are predominantly what's causing front end separation, and it's a problem. And a lot of dealerships aren't. They're not teaching or setting up, building the setups correctly with trucks. And what's happening is you get kind of two sides of the coin. You've got people with trucks that don't have enough hauling capability. So we put weight distribution on, and we have to crank the weight distribution to get everything to be level so the headlights are pointing in the correct direction and it tows well. And so take a half-ton pickup, a half-ton Ram, for instance. Coil rear suspension, rides really good, has a great ride, but has terrible hauling capability. So you put in 1,600 pounds worth of stuff in the bed of the truck, it's going to squat. You add an 800-pound tongue weight onto the rear end, and it's going to squat. So the only way to fix it, most people will think, is to put a ton of weight distribution on. So put a Pro Pride on, or put on a Blue Ox or something like that. But what's happening is when you do that, you're actually bending the frame of the trailer. So you can think of this as being the trailer, and we put the brackets of the sway control and the equalizer right here. It's pulling down in that area, pulling down to lift the tongue up, to lift the trailer up. But every time you hit a bump, every time you hit a bump, you come off the bridge, you hit that bump, it releases, and when it releases, that steel frame is literally pushing up into the front of the Airstream. And the more you do that, that metal eventually is going to bend, and it breaks, and then it separates and all that kind of stuff. My thought is with weight distribution, if you use weight distribution, use it sparingly. If you have a half-ton pickup, put airbags on it or put sumo springs on it. Put some kind of helper spring on it so that you're not having to just utilize weight distribution to get everything level. It needs to be level to be safe, but you don't necessarily have to use weight distribution only to get level. And if you think back in the in the 70s when they were towing with a lot of cars, they would put leveling suspensions on those cars so they would be level when you towed with them. We need to do the same thing now, we just don't do it. We just throw a weight distribution hitch on it and say it's good to go. The other side of the coin is you're towing a 30-foot camper with a F250 or F350, a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton truck, but you're still putting a hitch onto a weight distribution hitch, and you're still setting it up as if it's a half-ton pickup. We see that a lot. Actually, in our club, in our Carolinas Airstream Club, there's a guy that bought a 25-foot Flying Cloud from a store with towing with a dually pickup, so a 1 ton dually. They installed a Blue Ox Sway Pro on and set it on the 9th link, which is like almost max. Like the max that you can do on a Blue Ox is the 10th link. He was on the 9th link and said it towed terrible, but it's like towed like he was towing, flat on the asphalt. And eventually, he took off the weight distribution and just towed on the ball, and it tows much better. And F250s are similar, like the 3/4 ton. If you're towing like a 25 foot with a 3/4 ton, there's not going to be much squat. So you throw in a Pro Pride or you throw in a Blue Ox, and it's set up as if it needs weight distribution. You're putting a lot of pressure and torque into the front of the frame. So what I would recommend, if you're towing with a 3/4 ton or you're towing with a 1 ton and you have weight distribution, go to the lowest setting that you can go and still feel like you're maintaining control of the vehicle. If you have a half-ton pickup, add some type of helper spring. So sumo spring, the Timberland springs, airbags, something like that to help pick up the truck so you're not having to only use weight distribution. And then the other thing I would say is that if you have a truck that's adequate, so a 3/4 ton truck, and you're towing a 25 foot or 27 foot, you may not need anything. So try towing on the ball and see how it tows. Make sure your tongue weight is at least 10 to 15% of your overall weight. So 7,000 pound camper needs to have at least a 700 pound tongue weight for it to tow well. Most of the time your sway comes from your tongue weight being too low, and then it's kind of riding on the rear axle. So it's riding on that rear axle. So if you think about taking a buggy, you pick up the front of the buggy, it moves more. So you want the hitch weight to be 10 to 15% of your actual camper weight, and it'll tow great. I tow on the ball. I've got a Gem Y torsion hitch. I have a 3/4 ton 2018 Ram 2500 towing the 25 foot Flying Cloud, and it tows phenomenal. The other thing I would tell you on towing and weight distribution is your tire pressure. If you're running at 80 psi, I would recommend considering lowering that. If you're using Goodyear tires, Google Goodyear tire endurance payload chart, and it will tell you what psi to run based on how much your camper weighs. I'm actually running mine right now at 45 psi, and it tows so much better, and it rides so much better, and that's actually still higher than I could even go technically based on the chart. A good rule or a good starting point would be 65 psi, but definitely don't run at 80 psi if you've got a smaller camper. So that's my thoughts on equal sway. Excuse me. Oh, really? I didn't know that. More color options for the European model. Kenny, on your question about the bunk, um, yeah, you absolutely, I think could pull out the lower bunk and make it a desk area. I mean, the Ultimate Airstream could easily do that. And I think you could also add the bunk into the office. You just have to build it in there. That's one of those things where if you got enough money, you can do about anything. The Pottery Barn, on the Pottery Barn, I would do that outside box because there's no reason not to. You're not blocking a door. Um, you're not blocking compartment space, and then just run that into inside the camper. Your Victron would be under the sofa. Bill, yes, weight distributions are designed to transfer some of the weight to the front axle of the truck and also to the rear axle of the trailer. But to do that, it has to pull down somewhere to lift up, right? It's just using a still bar, and the only way to get that bar to pick up is to pull down somewhere, and where it pulls is on the frame of the trailer, and the trailer flexes. And when the trailer flexes and you hit a bump and that flex is released, it's flexing back up into the front of the trailer. And if if you're flexing too much, then you're going to cause front end separation. Tundra, a 23-foot weight. Yeah, you probably would need weight distribution. I'd probably still put sumo springs on the Tundra if you're towing with a 23-foot. It won't hurt, and you could actually probably use a little bit less weight distribution and still be level. I would probably, so it depends on the system that you're using, Bill. If you're using a Blue Ox Sway Pro, I try to be around the 7th link or the 8th link, depending on sway, depending on how it's towing. And then I would adjust the airbags there. You just don't want to have to be on 9 or 10 to be level. Excuse me. Yeah, Suzanne, KYD has went away from using sway bars, equalizer bars. And he actually did a video a couple of months ago talking about it. And he showed on their Flying Club bunk that they used to have, when they were using sway, it actually bent the frame so much that he couldn't open the battery door without it hitting the front of the Airstream. Like, it was bending the frame so much that, it was actually making the battery box point down and moving it closer to the front of his Airstream. And so when he went to open the battery box, it hit. And so they've went away from using weight distributions altogether, but he does have airbags. And I think that does help. And his hitch weight is definitely 10%. It's more than 10% of his overall weight because he has the generator and he has the batteries up there. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like if you're comfortable doing it and you can tow without sway bars, but still be level. So not towing with the Carolina squat, towing level. Make sure your hitch weight is at least 10% of your overall trailer weight. Then I would try towing without weight distribution. That's just my opinion. You've got to do what you feel comfortable with, and what you feel like you're going to be safe doing. Thank you, Jay Good. I appreciate that. It's kind of fun. I've not had one that's went quite. I've done a few live streams in the past, but I've not done anything like this where I just kind of pop a camera, set the phone up and hit go. So it's very cool. All right, Bill. Yeah, Blue Ox. So, yeah, basically what I said there is what I would do. 750 is the right one for your camper, and that's good because talking to Bill there in the Blue Ox, so those bars aren't going to be too stiff, so they'll have a little bit of flex. Um, if you're finding that you're having to use like the ninth link, I would look at adding the sumo springs, and that should let you be able to go down to the eighth link, and that'll just be putting the less force onto the frame. Sam, you are very welcome. I'm trying my best to be an expert in the Airstream world. Isaac, what I would say is I don't want to necessarily say that you shouldn't use sway bars. I think there is a place for them. I think that they are needed in a lot of cases, but I think we need to be smarter in how we use them and set them up. For instance, on a Land Cruiser, you need a little bit of help. So a Land Cruiser is going to need sway bars. It's going to need equalization bars that include sway. But if you can add a helper spring, I don't know how the Land Cruiser is built, so I don't know what type of spring that you have, or if Sumo makes a spring, or if there's airbags you can put in there. I'm not sure what's available for that, but if you can add something that helps to keep your Land Cruiser a little bit higher, a little bit more level, so that your weight distribution isn't having to do as much, that's going to be better on the overall setup, and it will probably tow better. But with a Land Cruiser, you most likely need something because it's so soft. You'll have a soft suspension. But if you can do something to help it level, that would be good. And I see you're looking at buying a 19 CB Flying Cloud, so that's a good size travel trailer for your truck. You may be fine just with a Blue Ox towing with a 29 CB, and that's a big part of that's the big part of the question is what are you trying to tow, and then what is your tow vehicle has a big determining factor in what setup you have. One of the things that we're trying to do at Airstream of Greensboro is ask those questions more, like what's your tow vehicle, what are you trying to accomplish, and then not just throwing a weight distribution on there just so we can try to sell a weight distribution, but trying to help make sure, like, hey, do you need to add airbags, or do you need to add sumo springs, or is your tow vehicle just too small? Or are you towing with a one-ton pickup? Like I just had a couple pick up a 30-foot Globetrotter towing with a dually. They're towing on the ball. They don't need weight distribution to tow a 30-foot with a one-ton dually pickup. So we didn't sell them a Blue Ox Sway Pro. A lot of stores are still going to try to sell you hitch because it's a profit center. Like we make money selling hitches, but we're trying to, at least at Airstream in Greensboro, do better, because I don't want people coming back with front end separation, and I could have prevented it. Kenny, you're very welcome. Jay, good, thank you. Yeah, Sam, there are, and we've used that a couple of times now, and I just did a video. If you look on my channel, there's a video. Can't remember what is it called. Something about 600 amp hours. But we added an exterior box to a pottery barn and put 600 amp hours of lithium batteries. So there's two 300 amp hour batteries in there, making the 600. And they fit perfect. And they also make a longer box that will let us put 4 of those in, and that would be 1200 amp hours. I'd have to look at the weight of what that would be on that particular camper. I don't know that I would do 1200 amp hours on a pottery barn, so there's just not enough payload there, but 600 worked great. We didn't really add much weight there because of how light they are. The Flying Cloud, the 19 CB Flying Cloud was a little bit nicer than the Caravels because it was built basically like a Flying Cloud back when they did that, when they were doing the Bambi version of the Flying Cloud International. So, all right, guys, I think I've been doing this for almost an hour and a half. It looks like 85 minutes. I'm going to jump off and go be a salesperson here at the show for a little bit. Probably check out make sure I haven't gotten any text or emails or anything, calls while we've been chatting here. But I enjoyed this, so I'll probably try to start doing this a little bit more and see how it goes. But I think it was good. So we'll see. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a good week, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks. Bye.